So what happens when you pit the world's most advanced AI models against each other in a game of pure strategy? Well, an independent researcher did just that. They set up this high-stakes chess tournament, all to find the smartest AI of them all. You'd probably expect a masterclass in logic, right? But what they actually found was something else entirely.
The goal on the surface seemed pretty simple. Use chess, the ultimate test of strategic thinking, to crown a champion. And believe me, the lineup for this digital showdown was a real who's who of modern AI. On one side, you had the Western bracket. We're talking absolute heavyweights here, like Opus 4.6, GPT 5.4, and Llama 4 Maverick. They were all thrown into this brutal single-elimination tournament just to see who would come out on top. And this was a truly global showdown, not just a one-sided affair. The competition also had an Eastern gauntlet, pitting 6 incredibly powerful models developed in China against each other. The whole plan was to find the absolute best AI, period, from anywhere in the world.
Okay, so after all those digital chess battles, after all the moves and countermoves, who was actually left standing at the end of it all?
Emerging from that really tough Western bracket, the winner was Claude Opus 4.6. It managed to battle past titans like GPT 5.4 and Sonnet 4.6, and in the end, it defeated Llama 4 Maverick. But its journey wasn't over just yet.
See, as the Western champion, Opus 4.6 then had to face each of the Eastern models, one-on-one, and one by one, it beat them all. So there you have it. Our undisputed champion, the most intelligent AI in the world, is Claude Opus 4.6. End of story, right? Oh, not even close. Because what if I told you that winning this tournament didn't actually matter? In fact, what if the real story here is that all of these super powerful AIs are actually just terrible at chess? This quote from Waylon J. Brown, the very researcher who ran the whole experiment, well, it changes everything. This was never about finding the best chess player. No, it was designed to prove something entirely different.
Here's the crucial part. This whole thing was what they called a strategic reasoning stress test. So it wasn't about whether an AI could play like a grandmaster, it was about the basics. Could it hold on to a plan? Could it see an obvious threat? And could it avoid making a terrible, game-losing mistake when the pressure was on?
And how'd they do? Well, let's just say it was less of a clash of titans and more of a comedy of errors. The results actually revealed some pretty fundamental weaknesses in how these AIs think.
The most common failure was something the researcher called the free piece problem. And we're talking about shockingly basic mistakes. For example, Gemini 3.1 Pro had a chance to take a free rook, and it just didn't. GPT 5.4 straight up let an opponent's pawn get promoted when it could have easily been stopped. This stuff shows a fundamental misunderstanding of threat and opportunity.
The researcher put it perfectly, really. He called it the chess equivalent of leaving a stack of cash on the table, staring right at it, and just walking away. It's not some subtle, high-level error. It's a baffling one.
And it wasn't just about missing those golden opportunities. There was also what he called the stalemate epidemic. The Chinese models were so evenly matched in their inability to force a win that they just kept stalemating each other, which gave them almost no useful data. And the Western models weren't much better, with even the top contenders like Opus and Llama playing to a draw multiple times.
And then there was this one really strange case, an AI called Minimax M2.7. It stood out because it made moves that had no clear purpose at all. I don't mean bad moves, I mean just random moves. It didn't seem to be trying to accomplish anything, which was a completely different kind of failure altogether. So what about our supposed champion, Opus 4.6? Well, its victory comes with a huge asterisk. The researchers' own conclusion was that Opus didn't win because it was smart, but because it was simply the least bad of a very flawed group.
But the most stunning part of this whole experiment, the real kicker, came when the AI champion faced its final opponent, the ultimate benchmark for applied intelligence, a human.
18. That's it. While the AIs were slogging it out for hundreds of turns just to reach a draw, the human researcher stepped in and beat the so-called champion in just 18 decisive moves.
I mean, the difference was just stark. Games between AIs were these long, drawn-out affairs, totally filled with indecision. The game against a human, it was a quick, surgical strike. The human was faster, more decisive, and just plain understood the game on a level the AI couldn't even touch. And that really brings us to the core lesson from this entire experiment.
For all the hype, all the processing power, when it comes to the flexible, practical application of intelligence, humans are still in a league of their own. Ultimately, this was never just about a game of chess. It forces us to ask a much bigger, much more important question. If today's most advanced AI struggles with the fundamental logic of a straightforward game like this, where else, in more complex, real-world scenarios, might it also be falling short?